Wow. Hey everybody, it's me. I'm back for the moment. Hopefully I'll be able to stick around this time, but to those of you who don't know me, to those of you who haven't seen my videos before, I've been making football videos, or all kinds of videos, but mostly football videos since '07, mostly about these guys right here since '07. Um, but I stopped around near the end of the 2010 season because I just lost my motivation and I was too busy. I was doing a whole bunch of other stuff. And came back in 2013 planning to make videos throughout that year and going forward. But I stopped in about week 6 of the 2013 season and I didn't get back to it until, well, today. So just to explain that, because I never really explained why I disappeared. I was having internet problems where I lived. I had just moved to a new place. If you go back and watch the old videos, you can see when the environment around me, my camera changed, and that was when I moved. And the internet at my new place was fine for the most part, but it was unreliable. And every time I tried to upload a goddamn YouTube video, it would crap out and the upload wouldn't go up, and I'd come back later and be like, oh, my video didn't go up. And usually I would try it again and it would work. Sometimes it would take a few times, but it was pissing me off. I shouldn't have to be dealing with that shit when I'm paying all this money to get internet. Whatever. But anyway, so that sucked. And week 6, what happened was, I remember that week pretty well. We were playing, the Huskies were playing Stanford, and the Seahawks were playing the Colts. And right before the Huskies game, because we were late Saturday night, I recorded 2 videos, a pregame video for the Stanford game, pregame video for the Colts game, uploaded them both. They both didn't go up because of the internet problems. I didn't realize till after the Stanford game, and at that point I was like, well, I'll just upload the Colts pregame video now because there's no point in uploading a pregame video for Stanford after the game. I tried to do that. It didn't go up. I went to bed and didn't notice until the next day. By the time I noticed, the game had already started. And at that point, I was just like, you know what, this isn't even worth it. This is starting to piss me off. So I just stopped making videos. And I was like, well, what's it matter anyway? I don't get that many views. Nobody's going to miss me that much. So whatever. But I moved. I'm in a new place now. My internet is at least a little more stable. So hopefully I'll be able to continually get videos up. And hopefully things will be going a little better from now on. Now, I'm going to be making fewer videos than I did in the old days where I was making videos a lot because I just don't have the time anymore. And most of my videos are going to be about this right here because those are the guys who I watch every snap of every game of, and it just makes sense. So, yeah, I'm back for now. Hopefully I'll be able to hang around for the foreseeable future because I think there's going to be a lot to talk about with this team. I think there's a lot to talk about in the NFL in general. So let's see where things go. All right. So the last 2 years have been pretty interesting. I've seen my team climb the highest peak that there is, get their first Super Bowl win, which, you know, forget about it. It's unbelievable, man. It takes so much off of you as a fan to know that your time, the time that you put into rooting for this team, went somewhere worthwhile because, you know, of course you don't win this championship every year, but if you were to root for a team for 80 years and they never won their championship, if you watch sports for 80 years and you don't see any of your teams win a championship, then there's got to be that part of you that goes, what was all that for? I don't have to worry about that anymore. This region doesn't have to worry about that anymore because we got one. And, you know, we got it in dominating fashion. And coming out of that game, nobody, except a handful of Niners fans, you know who you are, would dispute that we were the best team in the league that year. Last year, got to see them go to the Super Bowl again, lose in a very painful way. And I think any fan of the NFL can understand the kind of disgust you would feel after a game like that. I mean, it's tough. But that's the way the game goes sometimes, and I will take back-to-back Super Bowl trips with a win and a loss any day of the week, no matter what the context is. I mean, last year I got to go to the NFC Championship game, or technically this year, but last season I went to the NFC Championship game and got to watch us play like crap on offense for 3 hours and then score 3 touchdowns in like 30 seconds. Okay, maybe I think it was like 5 minutes of game time or something. So yeah, it's been a fun ride. And the losses suck, but the wins are awesome. And this team wins more than they lose. And more importantly, they've won the most important game once now. Can't take that away. So that's quickly going over the last 2 years, but I don't want to talk about the last 2 years too much because that's in the past. I'm going to talk about the future. This team, this 2015 Seattle Seahawks team, starts their season tomorrow in about less than 17 hours. It's a great team, great roster. Got a lot of guys who we know we can count on who have been producing at a high level for us for many years. We've got young players who are showing great things. We got rookies who have been showing great things so far in training camp and the preseason. They need to bring it in game day now because, you know, we've had a couple of preseason warriors come through this team over the years where they just dominate the preseason and then they disappear in the regular season when the games count. But these guys, they seem like they're a little different. So we'll start finding out more about them tomorrow. But I don't need to go into the exact details of why this team is great. Any NFL fan over the last 2 years knows why, because we have become a nationally relevant team, a contender, a team expected to compete for the Super Bowl. Everybody knows how good Marshawn Lynch is. Everybody knows, well, most people know how good Russell Wilson is. He has doubters. I used to be one of them. His rookie year, I doubted him, but that's in the past. People know how good Jimmy Graham is for another team, but still people know in general how good Jimmy Graham is. This defense, Michael Bennett, Bobby Wagner, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, people know how good those guys are because they show up week after week. They show up in big games, and they produce for us. So for me, it's just an exciting time. Now, to talk about some of the concerns I have, I'll kind of tie that into what I talk about with this upcoming St. Louis Rams game because the Rams beat us once last year in St. Louis. This game is in St. Louis. So there is some concern. I'm talking with my friends at work. I see the posts on field goals, the message boards, and I kind of get a sense for where people are with this game right now, this week 1 game. And for myself, just speaking about this one game, because that's the only game that matters right now, I'm not concerned about it. I'm interested to see how a few things pan out, but in terms of us losing, I'm just not really concerned about that. So basically, my overall point of view on this game is this. Our front seven should win this game, not necessarily by itself, but the front seven should dominate the game to where the rest of the team just needs to do their job adequately, and we're going to win. Their offensive line, we have offensive line concerns. They have offensive line concerns much bigger than ours. Their offensive line has 4 new starters. I think most of them, maybe all of them, were not with the team at all last year. They didn't know what they were going to do on their offensive line until near the end of the preseason, kind of like us. Our front seven is maybe, in my opinion, not only the best of the Pete Carroll era, if you look at those 7 positions in particular, it is the best in franchise history. I would put up our front seven against any front seven in franchise history. So, to me, the pass rush should be able to dominate the game and should be the lead story coming out of this game. For us to lose this game, in my opinion, the pass rush and the play of the front seven in general would have to be really disappointing. So, in my opinion, that's going to be what controls this game for us. So, concerns about this team, I think there are a few. So I'll go through that real quick. Things that I'm going to at least be watching with a concerned eye on Sunday, and until I see those elements playing well, going to be a concern. Number 1, the offensive line. I like our starters, but if one guy gets hurt, we're going to have trouble because we don't have good depth on that offensive line right now, in my opinion. I like our starters. I think they're good enough. They're not superstars. Okung, Britt, Noack, Sweezy, and Gilliam. Those guys, they're good. I saw them play in the preseason against Kansas City. I've seen most of those guys play in years past. I know what they can do, and I know what they can do is good enough for us to win most of our games. If Alvin Bailey has to come off the bench to replace somebody, I don't like it as much. But against that front seven, or front four of the St. Louis Rams, I know that it's going to be a work in progress. It's going to look rough at times. I know we're going to give up a handful of sacks. They just need to get 20 points up on the board. If we score 20 points, I'm pretty sure we win the game. Other than that, Earl Thomas, I'm concerned about just because he hasn't played since the Super Bowl. He's been hurt. I think he's still wearing a brace or a sling or something. In my opinion, Earl Thomas is our best player. I have believed that for the past couple of years. I still believe that. I think Earl Thomas is the best player on this team. He needs to be playing at a high level. He makes this whole defense go. Keeping an eye on Earl Thomas, and until he hits a few guys, because he hasn't hit anybody in the preseason because he didn't play in the preseason, until he starts hitting guys, it's going to be a point of concern. I'm not concerned about Dion Bailey replacing Cam Chancellor. I don't want to talk about that guy right now. He's pissing me off. But I am not concerned about Dion Bailey filling in for Cam Chancellor. Not in this game. Maybe other games, but not this game. And the other point of concern for me is Kerry Williams. He did not look good in the preseason. He's never done anything for this team because he just got here. So I look at what he did on other teams, and that's great, but you cannot translate that to how he did in Philly or how he did in Baltimore to how he's going to do here. It's a totally different system, different teammates, different situation. It's different. So until he starts doing good things for this team, I'm going to be concerned about it because what I saw in the preseason was not very good. So those would be my 3 points of concern going into St. Louis. But to me, for us to lose this game, our front seven would have to play very disappointingly because I expect big things from that unit this year. So I'll make a video after the game. Hopefully, I'll be making videos throughout the year about this team. As we have things to talk about, I'll post videos about things that I want to talk about. And my videos tend to be longer than most videos, as you can probably tell by the runtime of this video right now. And I just talk about football. I do not trash talk. I'm not into that scene. It's not for me. I don't think I'm very good at it. If I do it, it'll probably be as a joke because that's not for me. I just talk about this team. I talk about the teams we play. I know there is a YouTube trash talking circle. In fact, I've been following them since really 2007, back when it really took off. And there are a few guys in that circle that I subscribe to. I like their videos. Bad Dog, who I didn't know was back until last week, or this week even. Bad Dog, Cop Pizzle, Shango. Shango's not a trash talker either, but I've been following him since 07, 08. And then there were some guys who were kind of retired, who I used to like back in the day. Halen, Stam. I mean, Stam's videos weren't great, but I did kind of enjoy them. But I do not do the trash talking things. So to me, I'm just here to talk about football and talk about the players, talk about what happens out there on the field between the hash marks, well, not the hash marks. You know what I mean. So yeah, excited to start the new season, excited to continue this string of success. And for us to lose this game tomorrow, I think I would then have to reevaluate where I think this team is, because right now I'm seeing good things. And for us to drop this game tomorrow, I think would take some real disappointment from some of these players. So see you guys probably Monday, maybe Sunday night. I'm out.